Hello, everyone. So I am extremely excited to introduce my good friend, Dr. Andrea Breen. She is an associate professor of family relations and human development. She is the director of FIDO Research Lab at the University of Guelph. Did I pronounce that right, Andrea?
You did.
She's also a writer, and her current book project is a creative non-fiction exploration of human-dog relationships, care, and ethical responsibility. Andrea does some amazing research and projects with sort of human and animal bonds. And if you want to learn more about this, please visit andreabreen.ca. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I can't wait to have a chat about sort of, so we're going to be talking about just relationships, really, the things that you kind
Mhm.
of that you are really passionate about, and it's become very much your life, really. So
It has.
so what the first question is, what do you think people often overlook about how animals experience connection, safety, and belonging?
I think that's yeah, it's such a good question, and I could go in so many different directions with that, and probably would go a different one in a month. Like I sort of changed my mind about what to prioritize. Um, I think I think a number one thing, it may be tied with other things, is 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 the connection piece and is time. And so we live these extraordinarily rushed, busy lives, and it's not our fault, but we do. And we bring dogs in and other species into this very human-centered world that's just not designed for them and not really designed all that well for us either a lot of the time, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so very often we have the checklist of, good pet care, good pet companionship, feeding them however many times a day, walking or enrichment, whatever those tasks are. And that's all great. But I think to me, a really key part of it is our presence and being truly like putting down the phone, putting down the other activities, and just being with our dogs, or cats or whoever it is.
Or
Um,
even husbands and
or
children
husbands, right?
or
Or children. And
wives
we can't do
or
all of those things. It's, as someone, I study family relationships, and in my own life, I'm involved. I have my dogs, I have my teenage children, I have my elderly parents who are very ill, who I provide care for. I have a very full-time job. We all have so many things, and we cannot do it all.
yeah.
But we can often, I mean, what I've started to do on days when I'm super busy is set a timer for 10 minutes to just be with my dogs for
Brilliant idea.
just 10 minutes, not walking them while doing other things, not sort of just including them in other, not including them in other tasks I need to do, but just sitting with them for 10 minutes. And it's made a big difference. It helps me tune in to sort of who they are in the moment and what they might be needing, and also just remembering that so much of the joy of being with them is the presence that they can call us into. And so actually remembering that by practicing it.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? And actually with dogs, I think to have, as you say, just spending time, we don't have to do anything with them because I think that's it's almost like we've been conditioned with dogs that whenever we're spending time with them, we have to be doing something. We have to be playing, or we have to be walking, or we have to be doing something with them. And actually just sitting and being with
Yeah,
them is so powerful, isn't it? And you can change so many, so many of the dogs that I work with that are possibly struggling as well. Just getting people to sit and spend time with their dogs, it's amazing how much of a difference just
yeah,
stopping.
yeah.
And we see so much more as well because we see them, don't we? We
That's
properly
it.
see them.
That's it. And
Um,
seeing the dog in front of you is so much of it. Before I started the Phyto Lab, this is how we met actually. I spent
Yeah.
several years delving into, the dog behavior world and learning from people all over the world, and then had a brief stint as sort of a trainer, behavior consultant myself. And so much of that for me was driven by trying to fix my dogs. Although I don't think I would have admitted that at the time or seen
Yeah.
it, I may not have thought that's what I was doing, but really trying to figure out how to fit them into this world of ours that's mine, as the human. And I think the sitting with them, exactly as you're saying, and not doing and not having an agenda, um, really does help me to see them for who they are in the moment. And as they're changing and aging and having their own, who they are doesn't stay the same anymore than who we are stays the same. And so it helps to just be with them as they are and as I am in the moment.
And it's so good for us as well.
It's so good for me. It's like my meditation. I've replaced, yeah. There's fitting in meditation would be one more thing to possibly do on my to-do list, but this is a form of it for me. I find it like can be deeply relaxing, and just
Yeah.
having time without doing and just being together.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually have simple Sundays now in our house. So on Sundays we turn all social media off. So
Oh,
we can still watch the TV and that, but the internet is off. You know, it's okay if we want to watch a film or it's a bit of a different. But yeah, our phones are basically off for the whole day, and I feel like by Monday I do feel like my nervous system has just had a total detox.
yeah.
And you don't realize until you turn it all off how all consuming it is. And just then you naturally spend more time with the people,
Mm-hmm.
people being our dogs as well and our other animals, yeah, just that our family, we spend more time with our family. It's just, yeah, it's lovely.
And it must be so confusing for them, right? To have us on these devices that make us think things and make us feel things, and like our emotions are changing, our sense must be changing all the time in
Yeah.
response to whatever we're feeding us or whatever we're being fed, on
Yeah.
the phones. And it's not realistic for most of us to put it down for long periods. We need them.
Yeah.
But yeah, little breaks. I love the Sundays
Yeah.
unplugged. Yeah,
Yes. Unplugged
brilliant.
Sundays.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Have a
then the
good
other thing I was going to say, I think is critically important, of course, is safety. So safety is first, really, like, um, but I think being with them helps us tune into who they are and what they need in terms of, feeling safe in their environment, feeling like they can sort of predict what's going to happen, have a bit of routine, feel safe in their bodies. That's foundational, really.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think when we say safety, I think most people's minds go to physical safety. So,
Yeah.
have we got
Yeah.
them on a lead around roads or have it, simple
Yeah.
sort of, but actually it's the emotional safety that
Mm-hmm.
is the core of, and it's the same with any being, isn't it? It's all of us.
Yeah.
It's fundamental. It's,
Yeah.
and if we don't, and our nervous systems are constantly being sort of challenged and we don't feel emotionally safe, that's when we are seeing illness and, both mental and physical illness kind of coming through. So
Yeah,
it's so
absolutely.
important, isn't it? It's
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think dogs who live in houses I'm just looking over at my dogs, have, particular challenges around that because they don't have control over their environment. They cannot choose to just go out and find themselves a meal that they will enjoy, or, find themselves a meal. They can't just choose to go urinate when they need to. They rely on
Yeah.
us for all of those things. Um, and so that is also a feeling of safety, like knowing when your meals are going to come, knowing when you are going to be able to relieve yourself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's, I think, an
Yeah.
important part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what do you think people most often misunderstand about what animals need to feel safe and connected?
Oh, I think safety in their bodies is the thing that people most often, like, feeling good in their bodies is probably the thing people most often miss. Um, I there is a lot of discomfort and pain and discomfort, um discomfort and pain can be from illness, it can be from injury, it can also be from having to hold your pee for too long. Um, those sorts of things. It can be like feeling uncomfortable around where your food bowl is or how to get to it. It can be really simple things. Um, and I think we do miss that very often because I think it changes. It changes as dogs age, it changes with various health issues over time. And so I think trying to put ourselves into our dog's perspective and, watching for how they move and watching for um, how they go about their activities of daily living, like how they're squatting to pee or poo, is that changing? Are they, moving up and down stairs as easily? Those sorts of things. But really knowing your dog's body and what it looks like to be able to have a sense of when they're uncomfortable or feeling
That's not
discomfort
easy,
physically.
is
It's
it?
not.
Really
And
not
I think the
easy for a lot of
tricky
people.
part, no, and it's tricky because it's also easy to get quite obsessed about it. And so, um,
Both extremes. Yes, I know that one.
yes, from not noticing and not paying attention to really getting nervous about it. And then also, feeling worried about our dogs and that worrying over them also, I think, isn't so great for dogs either. So it's really like none of it is clear in some ways. Like it's a constant interaction, and who the dog is changes, who we are changes. And so being aware of who they are and noticing them, but also not panicking, I think is the
Yes.
not being overly obsessive about it. I don't have a recipe, I would say. Like I don't have a
No, it's being aware though, isn't it? The more we're
yeah.
aware of these things, and it's really interesting. Because one of my boys is getting older at the moment, and he's had a few health issues and things, and we're obviously we're parents, we are a type of parent, and whether people like that term or not is fine. You don't have to, but our role is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
We are providers of these safety and all of the things that we would be for our children. And yet with our children, you see them grow older, but usually they're going off and they're
Mm-hmm.
they're having their own lives, but our animals don't. Our animals stay with us, and then we are literally going through that whole life cycle with them, which
Yeah.
can be really tough, can't it? Because
Yeah.
you've got this young vibrant dog, and then all of a sudden you're going through seeing that they're in pain, and you've got to take them through those later years where they're struggling, and you're then giving palliative care quite often, and it
Mm-hmm.
can be really, really tough, and people don't
Mm-hmm. It's
talk
so
about that
tough.
side of things enough, do
No.
they?
And I think this is part of what inspired me to start the Fido Research Lab is I think there is this kind of dominant story that we see in happy news headlines. Everybody get a dog. Dogs are so great for our well-being. Dogs are stress relievers. They're good for our cardiovascular health, like all this stuff. And it's really a small part of the story.
Yeah,
Dogs are also like very stressful to live with when there are health needs, when there's behavioral issues, when they're struggling with separation. Like these things really impact our lives. And that's actually most dogs at some point in their life are going to require significant care, are going to have needs that really interfere with the other parts of our lives
yeah,
and so I think understanding that nuance is really important, and understanding that we like the things that really caring dog carers and cat carers worry about. Like I think all of us are very often asking, is this a good life for my dog? Am I doing the right things? Am I being who they need? Are they having a happy life? Because we are so responsible.
yeah,
And at the same time, where we often struggle is in places that are not at all our faults. Like the structure of a very human centered world where people have to work and have other commitments, and dogs can't come everywhere with us, and many of them wouldn't want to anyway. It means that we're not ever going to be perfect at meeting their needs or giving them the ideal life. And so there's always this tension of, am I enough? Am I doing enough? Which can be really, really hard, I think. So I think
Absolutely.
part of it too is recognizing that and kind of doing what we can, but also giving ourselves some grace by recognizing that it's not all about us. That's we're part of a social world that's not
Yeah.
configured in ways to make it easy. And that really comes out with end of life care.
I
Because
think it does with our parents as well, though, right? I mean, it's not just,
yes,
I
but I can
know
take
you and
work
I
off.
have been,
I can take a little bit of work leave time. It depends. I mean, I'm in Canada and I have a unionized job, so I have some perks and
yeah,
it doesn't work as well in other places, but I can take time away from my parents. I cannot take time away from my dog. I can't.
yeah,
So that we don't have policies, even though we talk about ourselves as parents. And I think you're right. Like so much of it is parallel, but at the same time,
don't have those
um, we
support
don't have
systems in the
parental
same way.
leave when
No,
they're puppies. We don't have end of life like care leave when they require
yeah,
around the clock care.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's really tough.
it is so tough.
It's,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So if animals could describe their ideal day, what do you
Hmm.
think they would include?
I think it's so individual for the particular animal. I mean, we have this idea that dogs are supposed to be really social, and they are social, but what that looks like for the individual dog, there is the odd dog that's the social butterfly that wants to be surrounded by all kinds of new dogs. But for most dogs, it's much more, they're much more selective, and they may just have one dog friend they would choose to hang out with. And maybe they have friendships with other species, or there's humans they like or not. So some sort of social aspect to their day, I would say, would be on the list. But what that looks like specifically is going to be massively varied.
Yeah, and it's interesting actually you say that because when I think about it, I honestly think that for the majority of dogs, and obviously as we're saying, there's very much an
Yeah.
individual thing here, but for the majority of dogs that I know, actually time with humans would come
Yeah.
up higher on their list than other dogs,
Yes.
I think, quite
Yes.
often.
Yeah.
And so people are constantly trying to, find these different friends, if you like, for their dog. And it's like, as you said, maybe just try and find that extra 10 minutes a day that
Yeah.
you can just
For
be
their
with your
yeah.
dogs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that. Like it's true. Many dogs would choose humans. I mean, we take our dogs to go visit grandma and and they love it so much. Like it is the most exciting thing to show up at grandma's house to visit. So seeing the people that they love, I think one of my dogs loves meeting new people, and so he'll take me around the park and sort of find the people who want to meet him, and that brings him joy. My other dog is really wary of other humans and other dogs and really just wants to hang out with me and would, I think, be largely happy if it was just the two of us. Um, so, yeah, so what is meaningful social time for the
Yeah,
individual and giving them some
yeah.
of that?
Yeah,
And
it's
then,
so important,
yeah,
isn't it? Is
yeah,
that social
yeah,
aspect. I've always done a bucket list for my dogs. So just so I think about them as an individual, and I try and not do it when it's just end of life. I try and sort of, think about what would my, I know for Matilda it would be digging for mice. I mean, she'd probably spend all day if I let her just digging for mice.
yeah.
So and it's so different for each dog, isn't it? And sort of, just thinking about that individual and what they like to do.
Yeah, and what makes them curious and interested, and like what that looks like for the individual dog. Following curiosity feels so good, I think, for all of us. Like if we're truly interested and curious about something, and so following their noses or digging for digging for others or whatever it is. But what is it that they're actually that gets them interested, where they're like seeking or curious, and whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, okay, and the last question is,
Okay.
if people took one small step after this interview to improve an animal's life, what would you hope it would be?
I'd go back to the time one right now. I think give whatever is reasonable in the context of our very, very busy lives, whether that's 5 minutes or 2 hours in a day. And some days it will be more of one than the other. But yeah, like just be with them and let them just be with them in a way that's like open and curious about who they are and not trying to change them, just being with who they are in the moment, I think.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's easier for us to think that we do that, I think, and actually we often, as you've said, we have such busy lives. It's
Yeah.
not that easy to see our dogs for who they really are. We're just rushing through our day and we forget.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's just learning a little bit about who our dog is and understanding what, and I think this conditioned expectation on us as well of what dogs should be, we put
Yes.
that
Yeah.
their expectation then on our dogs, don't we? Well, this is
Yes.
what society tells
Absolutely.
me a dog is, so this is what my
Absolutely.
dog is. And it's
Yeah.
something, I mean, the amount of people that I work with that I just say, well, just stop taking them to the beach then, because it doesn't sound like they
Mm.
like it. And they go, but I, I've been told I need to socialize my dog. And I'm like, but do they enjoy it? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, well, then don't do it. And they're like,
Yeah. Then you're not
okay,
enjoying it either.
that's
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have all of these pressures, don't we, of, what
Yeah.
society tells us what our dogs should be enjoying. And
Gonna close this. I realize that I'm about to ignite in the sun. There we go.
so, yeah, time.
Yeah.
I think
I
that's
think time is a big one, and it's so tricky. I mean, one of the things in our research lab that we look at is families with dogs and how it works. And very often it's gendered. So in heterosexual families, the dog care tends to fall more on women, regardless of whether they were the ones that signed up to get the dog in the first place or walking the dog,
yeah,
right? And so it's really tricky to be telling women to spend more time doing anything when dog care tends to be part of like already very, demanding domestic schedules.
yeah.
So, but it is one of those things where doing it, making the time for it makes our experience of the dog more pleasurable for ourselves as well. And like it's spending that little bit of time sort of being with them as they are can take the edge off when we are having a really hard time with them or in other aspects of our lives if we can sort of just
I
you
think
know
that's the thing. And I think that everything else we're kind of expected to do is almost, it can be a massive pressure on us. Like we've got to get things done, like, I mean, I make my dog's food. I know that not everyone
yeah
goes to that extent, but, having the time to do all of those things, I've got to make sure that they're walked. I've got to make sure whereas actually making sure you've got that 5, 10 minutes, half hour, 2 hours, however,
mm-hmm.
it's not just for the dog, it's what we
No,
need as well. And I think that's the difference with that, is like
exactly.
actually it's taking time for ourselves as well as
Yeah,
our dogs.
yeah,
And both things are equally as important. So
yeah. And dogs can be very beneficial to our mental health, our emotional well-being, our physical health, all of those things. Um, but not if we're not noticing them in the rush
yeah,
of the day or trying really hard to make them into someone that they're not.
yeah,
So just, yeah, the being in the moment, I think,
yeah,
is big.
I love that.
Yay.
Well, as always, I love talking to you, and
Such
thank
a
you so much
pleasure.
for being with us.
My
Um,
pleasure.
I can't wait for your new book. I know that you're still writing it, so we can be
Yeah.
waiting for a while.
I
But
can't wait to have time to write my new books.
spend 10 minutes a day, Andrea.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I'm too busy spending those 10 minutes with my dogs right now, but
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
um they're gonna co-author it, so it will work out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we
Thank
will
you,
see you
Rebecca.
soon.
Yeah,
Bye,
bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye.